All right, guys, it is Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. So right now I'm just going to give an update on my truck, the 55 hardtop, and an upcoming event in October that I want to try to get my 55 hardtop ready for. So I wasn't planning on posting any videos because I'm still porting on the cylinder heads. Like, it's going to take a long time. It's, summertime, it's like 100 degrees outside. I don't have any airflow through my garage, so I have to turn the fan on here to my air compressor, and I can only let that compressor run for a little bit, and then I have to let it cool down for a while. So it kind of sucks. So I'm on my second cylinder head for the 55 hardtops 406 engine, and I've got 2 exhaust ports finished. I've still got 2 more to go, and then I got to do all of the intake. I've done a lot of prep work, cleaned them up, disassembled, run taps through all the bolt threads, cleaner taps, and I milled the bottom of it. So it's getting close. I've got my pilot holes drilled for the steam holes, so I need to finish getting those drilled out to their size. But it kind of sucks. I'm getting about, I don't know, about half or 3/4 of one port done, and then I have to let the compressor cool down. So in between I get off on other projects, and then it may be 2 or 3 hours before I get back out here to work on the head. So it's just not going very well. So there's not going to be another video for a while, so I thought I'd just give this update. Now this is a verbal update. There's not going to be any work you're going to be seeing done. But the main reason is I had a text last night, I had a text this morning from 2 different friends. One wanted to know if it was running yet, and the other buddy wanted to know if I got my engine together yet. I'm nowhere even close at this point, but now I'll give an update on the truck. Man, I tell you, I'm loving it. The stars aligned on this truck, or well, with this project, I should say. So I know a lot of you guys watched me rebuild the engine right here in the driveway, and did the same thing I'm doing here to these cylinder heads. And I am blown away how well this truck runs. This truck, it does not run like a 305. If somebody come over and drove this or rode in it and I got on it, they would not believe that's a 305. I'm just blown away. I'm a loss for words, actually. I'm not saying this is a race truck, and I'm for sure not saying this will outrun your 350 truck. I'm just saying it has a lot more power, and it's kind of an amazement to me that it runs as good as it does. But when you think about it, I've done a lot of stuff to the truck, some upgrades and changes for some new parts, and it must have needed all that in order to run as good as it does. It will, like if I take my foot off the brake and hit the gas pedal, it will just light up that right rear tire because it's not a posi. And that's generally not that hard to do in a long bed truck because there's no weight back there. But anyway, I ported these cylinder heads and rebuilt them, and I rebuilt the engine. I put in a performance ignition coil, an aftermarket new module in the distributor. I put a K&N style cotton gauze filter in it. What else did I do? Golly. Oh, the camshaft that I put in here is from a Monte Carlo SS, so it's like an L69 or something like that, which is not much. It's not much different than a bone stock 305 cam, but it is a little bit of an upgrade, tiny bit. And anyway, it runs awesome, man. I love it. It runs great. It runs cooler on the gauge and the dash, and it's probably because I put that thermal fan clutch on there. It's never overheated on me, but it's always like in traffic or a stoplight for a long period of time, the temperature gauge kind of climbs just a little bit, but it never keeps going. It'll get to a point and stop. Now it's staying really low, and it's the same thermostat I had in it because it's not that old. I put it in there a few years ago. But man, I'm happy with it. I've got no more vibration because the rubber transmission mount was broken. It wasn't broken in two, it was just split pretty far. So I replaced that. So now it's really smooth on the highway. I've already put a carrier bearing in it, new U-joints, and that never fixed it. It ended up being that transmission mount. What else? The brakes work now. It never felt like the whole time I've owned it that the rear brakes worked on the truck, and I just assumed the rear rubber brake hose was collapsed. It was the kinked brake lines at the front on the frame cradle. Those were all kinked up, and I unkinked them, basically. Now the brakes work great. Man, what else? That might be it. Now it's time to put the AC on it, because now It no longer smokes when you start it, and it doesn't mark its territory in the driveway anymore. So I'm real happy about that. The other thing that it used to do was cold starting it, coming out and cold starting it. It would start right up and then immediately die. And it's throttle body injected. And it doesn't do that anymore. So I'm over the moon, man. The truck's great. Just needs the AC stuff put back on it at this point. So now I'll talk about the upcoming event in October, actually October 8th. My old public high school is having a reunion. It's actually going to be on the 7th and 8th, but the 7th is at night, and they're going to be at the homecoming game. Home for me is almost an hour away, so I'm just going to focus on the 8th. They're going to have a luncheon, and they're still working out details. So that'll be pretty cool to go to that, see some people that I haven't seen since the 80s and 90s. They're doing 5 years before and 5 years back, or forward and back, I guess. So that's 10 years of classes, because it's a small town. You know, the classes weren't really that big. I remember one class had like 9 people in it, one class had like 12 people in it. So I think that's a good way to get to see a lot of people that I went to school with from a kid all the way up, you know what I mean? But I wanted to try to get my 55 hardtop ready and drive it down there to that. That's not the only reason. Down in that area by Grand Lake, where I grew up, I know where lots of cool places are to go. Really beautiful places that I can do a video shoot or a photo shoot on the car. So I thought that'd be kind of cool to take it down and do a video shoot of that, so you guys will get to see that. And the other thing about it is, when you build a car from nothing to something like this car, you know, it's going to be pretty much all brand new, and I'm going to be a little nervous driving it on a long trip because it's going to be pretty fresh at that point if I get it done. So I know lots of friends and family down that direction, so if I do have an issue down there, I've got a place to take the car or get help if I need it. So I'm pretty excited about that. You know, as a kid growing up in school, of course, I always talked about 55 Chevys because I was ate up with them since I was 5 years old. I always had pictures hanging in my locker of 55 Chevys. My notebook, I'd draw 55s on it, stuff like that. But so everybody that went to school with me know I was a 55 Chevy nut, and I never had one when I was in high school. So it'll be pretty cool to show up in one to show everybody that, hey, I finally got one, you know what I mean? Which I've had a bunch, but now I don't have Facebook. And I realize people that have Facebook, they're in touch with their old friends and schoolmates and family and that type of stuff. I'm not a Facebook guy. I tried it years ago. It's just not for me. So I'm out of touch with everybody. A lot of those people I haven't seen since the 80s and 90s, so it'll be kind of cool to see them. But, you know, take them for a ride in the car or whatever. But I thought that'd be kind of cool. So I haven't added up the days, but, you know, October 8th, I've got a little bit of time. Hopefully I can get the car there, but I've still got to finish the engine. But the cylinder heads are just killing me because of the compressor. I don't have no airflow in this garage, and I can't run that compressor full blown because it'll seize up and pop the breaker like it did a couple years ago. And I sure don't want to do that again. But I've started on the exhaust side of it and just got 2 done, and then it's these 2 and then the intake. The intake takes the most time, but I got all the port work done on this one, and now it needs to be cleaned up and then lap the valves and then assemble it with new seals. This thing's gotten rusty from me working out here, sweaty. You know, when I get done porting it, I'll stick my finger in there and do that. My hands are sweaty, and so it's kind of got a little surface rust on it, but I'll try to get it all cleaned up and then lap the valves and get it reassembled. But I've almost got one completely done, but it's going to be a while. So there's your update video. And I want to say thanks for watching. If you subscribed, thanks for that. It is nice to have viewers and you know, people giving thumbs up, commenting, and that type of stuff. It's pretty awesome, and I do appreciate that. So thanks for watching.